Welcome back to another episode of Quick Picks with the Geek. I am your host, Bro Power the Geek. All right, time to kick off this card. It's Ticia Tiny Tornado Pennington taking on Luana Pinheiro. And while this one may not be a barn burner, it will be 3 rounds of intense footwork, glances at the clock, and muttered curses about how scoring works. Let's get into it. Ticia the Tiny Tornado Pennington rolling into this one as a minus 395 favorite with a record of 14-7, which makes sense because every time she fights, you get flashbacks of trying to swat a fly that does karate. Ticia's game is speed. Pure, annoying, hard-to-catch speed. She's like if someone gave caffeine to a hummingbird and taught it combos. She's a black belt in karate, a black belt in Junri Taekwondo, which sounds like a style invented in a video game, and she's a blue belt in BJJ, which in MMA is basically the equivalent of can tie her own GI. She's not known for power, but she is known for volume and staying on the outside, circling like she's waiting for her Uber. Her last fight looked sharp. She stuffed some takedowns, got taken down a few times, but spent just under 4 minutes on the ground and got back to her feet and outstruck Carla Esparza. And let's not forget the Ricci fight. She outstruck her in every round and stuffed 9 out of 10 takedowns, yet still lost a split decision. Ticia looked around like, what just happened? And yeah, we were all confused. That one had more controversy than the Me Too movement. But she's tough, she's technical, she's got that sprint-style cardio that looks like it's gonna crash but never does. And she's the kind of fighter who thrives in 15-minute don't blink or you'll miss a jab fights. Luana Pinheiro stepping in as a plus 350 underdog with a record of 11-4 and currently riding the I swear I'm better than this losing streak of 3 straight, plus a grappling match that ended with her getting finished on the mat. Look, Luana is a judo black belt and a purple belt in BJJ, which sounds terrifying until you realize her UFC career has been mostly her, trying to get takedowns and getting denied like she's asking to borrow rent money. That judo base is legit, but it's tricky when everyone you fight has practiced defending exactly one thing, your tosses. On the feet, she's not hopeless, she has some pop. She throws hard. Her overhand right is basically a warning sign taped to a punch. She only has 2 knockouts, but she can crack when she sits down on her shots. And if her opponent forgets their head movement in the locker room, she'll make them pay. The problem? She's predictable. She slows down. And she tends to get frustrated when her takedowns don't land, like a judo-themed Roomba slamming into a wall over and over. And lately, that frustration has been adding up. Her cardio fades, her output drops, and she ends up in situations like her last 3 fights. She's either getting finished or losing a decision. So who wins? If Luana gets the takedown early, we've got to fight. She's strong, she's got control when she's on top. And if she gets to Ticia's back, we might even see a submission threat. It's not her only path to victory, but let's be honest, it's the one with the GPS turned on. But if she can't get Ticia down, and historically Ticia's takedown defense is solid, it's going to be a frustrating 3 rounds of Ticia darting in and out, tagging her with quick combos, circling away, and basically speedrunning a decision. Ticia doesn't finish fights. She taxes you on volume and movement. She wins the kind of fights that make you say, yeah, she won, I guess. And unless Luana lands something big early or hits jackpot on a throw, she's in for 15 minutes of chasing the tornado. Official pick, Ticia Pennington by decision. She'll be faster, she'll land more, and she'll do just enough to keep the judges interested and Luana confused. It's gonna be like trying to catch a Roomba on rollerblades. Next up, we got Connor Matthews going up against the newcomer Yadir Del Val. Let's just say, Connor the Controller Matthews is walking to the cage like he's still trying to beat level 3. Meanwhile, Yadir Del Val is coming in like the final boss with cheat codes activated. Let's talk about it. First up, Connor the Controller Matthews, who comes in a plus 330 dog with a record of 7-3. He is the type of guy who always picks the grappler in UFC video games. Connor's got one mode, takedown, submission, repeat. And when that doesn't work, he looks like he just blue screened. 5 of his 7 wins are by submission, which tells you everything you need to know. He's not trying to win a kickboxing match, he's trying to turn your limbs into balloon animals. But this is worth mentioning. He is a good counter-striker. The dude will push the wrestling pace. He's like that one friend who insists on playing just one more round of jiu-jitsu at open mat after you've already tapped 10 times and your arm is hanging on by a thread. But here's the problem. At the UFC level, pushing the pace only works if the other guy isn't twice as athletic and 3 times as hard to hold down. He's riding a 2-fight losing streak and got finished in both. And if you include DWCS, he's been outstruck in 3 of his 4 appearances with the promotion. That's like showing up to a spelling bee and misspelling your name. He's not terrible on the feet, but let's just say if he starts winning the striking, it's probably in a dream sequence. Can he submit someone? Absolutely. Can he do it to a Cuban Muay Thai assassin with BJJ credentials and a full gas tank? Yeah, good luck with that. Next up, Yadier the Cuban problem Del Valle, sliding in at minus 430 with an 8-0 record and the energy of a guy who's here to collect checks and body bags. This dude is well-rounded like a Pixar character. He's done it all. Muay Thai, BJJ tournaments, probably backyard dominoes on weekends. He's undefeated, he's powerful, and he looks like the UFC built him in a lab with a smoothie made of Yoel Romero DNA and salsa music. Yadier only has 2 KOs and 2 subs officially, but that's because the other 4 victims probably just quit mid-fight and fled the scene. His striking is sharp, explosive, and aggressive. He's the kind of guy who doesn't wait to read the manual, he just starts swinging and it works. He's fought solid competition too, not just local cab drivers and karate dads. And now he's finally in the UFC, looking to make a statement. And unfortunately for Conor, that statement's probably going to be written in ground and pound font, size 12 fists. Yadier's takedown defense has looked solid in the past, and if Matthews can't drag him down, this might turn into 3 rounds of, why did I sign this contract? So, who wins? Let's not overthink this. Conor has a very specific path to victory. Takedown, submission, don't get punched in the face first, but Yadier, he can win on the feet, win on the ground, win if it turns into a grappling match, and probably win if they settled this with a foot race or a salsa off. Conor might get the takedown early, but if he doesn't find a sub in the first round, it's going to be a long night, or a short one, depending on how heavy Yadier's hands feel. Official pick, Yadier Del Valle by KO TKO. I think Conor gets a takedown or 2 early, maybe even makes things weird for a minute. But once Yadier gets back up and starts throwing heaters, it's going to look like a welcome to the UFC moment for Yadier, not Conor. Expect violence, expect highlight material, and expect at least 1 camera cut to Joe Rogan screaming, "Oh!" I mean, if he was there, right? All right, let's keep this flyweight train rolling with a battle of the lightest dudes who could still probably tap you out while texting. It's Hyun-Sung Peace of Mind Park versus Carlos Hernandez. We got a slick undefeated prospect versus a seasoned scrapper who's just been hanging around the UFC like that guy at the gym who's not flashy, but always wins the sparring matches. Let's dive in. Hyun-Sung Peace of Mind Park, coming in as a minus 190 favorite with a record of 9-0 and on paper, that looks like your classic next big thing stat line. But when you look a little closer at who he's beaten, let's just say I'm pretty sure one of his opponents moonlighted as a barista. Park's strength of schedule is about as intimidating as a middle school dodgeball roster. That said, Park is still legit. He's fast, he hits hard enough to make you blink twice, and he's got a nice mix of skills. 4 subs, 4 knockouts, basically he's the Costco combo meal of MMA, everything in one neat little package. He's got solid takedown defense, and when he goes offensive, his entries are smooth like K-drama dialogue. And yes, the chin has held up so far, even though his striking defense is a little dad trying VR boxing for the first time. He's exciting, he's reckless, and he's probably your favorite fighter's favorite dark horse, but the question is that 0 in the loss column a sign of greatness or just good matchmaking? Carlos Hernandez, on the other side, is the plus 160 underdog with a record of 10-4, and if you just looked at the paper, you'd think, hey, journeyman. But Carlos is like that IKEA desk. Might not look impressive in the ad, but somehow it holds everything together under pressure. He's 3-3 in the UFC, which screams inconsistency, but really the guy shows up. His boxing is crisp, he's not throwing heat, but he's throwing volume, combos, and footwork that says, you're not touching me, bro. It's that classic, I may not knock you out, but I will absolutely win a dance-off. Now, he doesn't have any KOs on the record, and that's a red flag if you're trying to convince anyone at a Buffalo Wild Wings that he's dangerous. But timing, accuracy, and movement, Carlos has that. He's also hard to put away. Only 2 finishes against him, and he's constantly working to get back to his feet when he's taken down. If this were based purely on fundamentals, Carlos would be your guy. He's got that, I trained everything this week and actually read my coach's texts kind of energy. So, who wins? Look, Park is the more explosive guy here. He's got the power, the undefeated confidence, and that slightly reckless, I don't know what fear is, striking style. If he lands something big or mixes in a few takedowns, he can easily swing this fight in his favor round by round, but Carlos is sneakier than your ex stalking your Instagram stories. His boxing is cleaner, His footwork could frustrate Park into swinging at air, and if Park gets too wild, Carlos might just jab him into exhaustion and sneak a decision. It's a test for Park, no doubt. He hasn't faced someone this technical, this slick, or this allergic to being finished. But if Park can pace himself, stay composed, and land the heavier shots, the judges are probably going to nod his way while Carlos mutters, "I outlanded him by 20. Official pick, Hyun Sung Park, by decision. He'll land the bigger shots, maybe throw in a few takedowns for extra credit, and survive enough flurries to stay undefeated, barely. Carlos is going to make him work for it, though. Expect scrambles, sweat, and at least one moment where Park looks at his corner like, "Yo, this dude won't stop moving." Next up, we've got a matchup in the strawweight division between two ladies who are about to treat the octagon like it owes them drug money. Elise Reed versus Denise D. Gomes. One's a high-level striker with no interest in wrestling, and the other looks like she could punch a hole through drywall with one hand and choke out a bear with the other. So basically, we've got a kickboxer versus a wrecking ball. Let's dig in. First up, Elise Reed, coming into this fight, a plus 350 underdog with a record of 8-4. And listen, this woman is a 4th-degree black belt in Taekwondo, which basically means if this were a point fighting competition in a high school gym, she'd be champ for 10 years running. Her hands, fast, her kicks, snappy, her footwork, clean, her takedown defense. Next question. Seriously, Elise's takedown defense has been about as effective as a paper umbrella in a hurricane. She's been taken down in nearly every UFC fight she's had, and it's not like they've been Olympic wrestlers. Sometimes it feels like if you just give her a slight nudge and whisper double leg, she hits the mat. Now credit where it's due. In her last fight, she stuffed a bunch of Jessica Penny's takedowns. But Jessica Penny has the takedown accuracy of someone trying to parallel Park with their eyes closed, so it's hard to say if Elise leveled up or if she just lucked into a matchup with the only fighter less interested in wrestling than she is. Elise has good cardio, solid straight shots, and actually does a great job controlling the range when she's allowed to. She's even got a couple of knockouts to her name. But when things hit the mat, her win probability dips faster than Dogecoin on Elon's bad days. Now we've got Denise D. Gomes, the minus 455 favorite with a 10-3 record, and she's looking to put another head on her wall. Denise is on a 2-fight win streak, and she has 6 knockouts, which at strawweight is basically like saying, "I bring Thor's hammer to the cage." She's built like a tank, swings like she's trying to win a carnival strongman contest, and has a chin that says, "I've eaten worse in the gym." She's not the cleanest striker you'll ever see. This isn't Valentina Shevchenko level technique. But she's got a nasty overhand right. She mixes it up to the body, and she throws everything with bad intentions. Her takedown defense is solid, and if it does hit the ground, her submission defense has held up. She's not hunting for arm bars or anything fancy, but she knows how to stay safe, stand up, and start swinging again. Also the cardio, it's there. She doesn't gas out from chasing finishes or swinging big. So, who wins? If this fight stays standing, it's actually way closer than the odds say. Elise is a clean striker, faster, and better at managing range. She'll throw more technically correct combos, use kicks to disrupt rhythm, and could realistically win rounds just being a little prettier with her work. You know, like winning a UFC fight and a dance competition at the same time. But the problem is, Denise hits like a truck with anger issues. And if it does go to the ground, Elise is at a disadvantage. Denise might not be a jiu-jitsu ace, but she's strong, she's got good instincts, and most importantly, she has the power to make Elise hesitate just enough to stop throwing. It's hard to trust Elise when she keeps getting taken down, and even if she keeps this standing for 15 minutes, Denise only needs one good punch to flip the table. Official pick, Denise Gomes by decision, or violent stoppage. I think Elise does enough to stay competitive on the feet early, but eventually Denise lands something big, presses forward, maybe dumps her to the mat and starts raining down elbows like she's trying to break the canvas. Or Elise just gets overwhelmed by the pressure and we all sit around saying, well, yeah, we saw that coming. Next up, we've got a battle between two Brazilian bruisers who came to ruin each other's hairstyles and steal some momentum. Luana Santos versus Tainara Thai Panther Lisboa. We've got a judo queen versus a Muay Thai machine. And if this fight doesn't end in someone's face being rearranged or someone's hip getting yeeted across the cage, I'll be shocked. All right, let's roll into it. First up is Luana Santos, coming in at a near pick'em with a line of minus 105 and a record of 8-2. Now, Luana is a black belt in judo, and you can tell, it's like every time someone touches her, she turns into a blender full of hip tosses. If she gets double underhooks, you might as well start filling out the takedown stat. She's basically the kind of fighter who'd throw her own mom if she squared up wrong during dinner. On the ground, she's smooth. She's got 4 submission wins and she goes hunting for the finish. And when it comes to first round mayhem, she's already collected 4 bodies early. So if you're coming in sleepy, she's gonna make sure you go back to bed. On the feet, her striking is, well, it's not gonna win any highlight reels, but she's not scared to swing. Think of it like a dependable economy car. Gets the job done, not built for speed, and occasionally makes some weird noises. She doesn't have a lot of power, but she'll mix it up to keep you honest. Her cardio is decent, she's durable, and she doesn't panic when things get dicey. But she's also coming off a loss, and you never know if that motivates a fighter or just makes them start throwing leg kicks like they're afraid of commitment. Next up, we got Tainara Thai Panther Lisboa. And listen, first of all, the nickname slaps. Thai Panther sounds like she should be in a Marvel movie. She's a minus 115 favorite with a 7-2 record, and is riding a 5-fight win streak, which means she's been walking into cages and collecting checks like a repo man. Or repo woman for the SJWs. Now her base is Muay Thai, and it shows. Good speed on the punches, tight technique, and she throws like she's got a grudge against your whole family. No crazy knockout power, but she definitely hits harder than Juliana Miller, which, to be fair, is like saying a microwave burrito is hotter than room temperature. It's technically true, but not saying a lot. Her ground game, it's coming along. Now, she's not scrambling like Charles Oliveira or anything, but she knows what to do. If you take her down, she's not just chilling on her back waiting for the round to end. She's trying to stand, reverse, or start hammer fisting you in the ribs for your trouble. She's also balanced in her finishes, 3 knockouts, 3 submissions. That's like being equally bad at keeping houseplants alive and cooking pasta. You're not sure how she does it, but something dies every time. So who wins? This is a classic striker versus grappler matchup, kind of, because neither woman is completely one-dimensional. Santos has judo but will throw hands, and Lisboa is a Muay Thai striker who knows what to do if the fight hits the mat. That makes this fight very interesting. Santos probably lands some takedowns. It's inevitable. Gravity plus judo equals someone hitting canvas, but Lisboa has that get-up-and-go spirit, which is crucial here. If she can keep the fight standing for long stretches, she likely wins the exchanges. She's quicker, throws harder, and while neither woman throws crazy volume, Lisboa's technique is cleaner. Cardio-wise, they're pretty even, but Lisboa has momentum, and that's scary. I'm not afraid to throw spinning stuff confidence. If Santos can't keep her down, she's going to be playing defense on the feet and hoping her chin holds up. Official pick, Tainara Lisboa by decision. I think she survives the judo storm, works her way up off the mat, and then wins the striking exchanges with the speed and power advantage. It won't be a walk in the park, but it might be a jog through a war zone. Next up, we got a battle between 2 lightweight grinders trying to stay relevant in the Shark Tank known as the UFC lightweight division. Jared Flash Gordon versus Thiago Moises. This one's got all the ingredients of a mid-card classic. 2 guys who can strike a little, grapple a lot, and have both been through the ringer more times than your favorite pair of gym socks. Let's break it down like we're cornering a jiu-jitsu white belt mid-panic attack. First up, Jared Flash Gordon, coming in as a slight underdog at plus 100 with a record of 20-7. And listen, the nickname might be Flash, but this man fights like a Ford pickup. Durable, American-made, and willing to go the full 15 miles per gallon if he has to. Jared's a BJJ black belt, but weirdly enough, the man prefers to throw hands like he's trying to speedrun his CTE. He's got solid boxing, good power, and a hook that has some actual bad intentions behind it. He's not the best kickboxer, but if the goal is to make your opponent's nose rethink its job, Jared's got you covered. He's got 7 knockouts, and he's been in there with some dogs. His resume looks like he borrowed it from someone in the top 15. But there's a catch. He's also been knocked out 4 times, and not in like early stoppage fashion. More like system reboot, please wait kind of knockouts. So his chin's been tested, and occasionally failed that test like it was a surprise algebra quiz. Wrestling-wise, he can mix it in, but it's like when your uncle tries Zumba once a year. He's not winning awards for it, but he's giving it a shot. His takedown defense is okay, like password 123 level of okay. Next, we got Thiago Moises, coming in as a minus 120 favorite with a record of 19-8. This man is a BJJ black belt, and not the got it at a seminar kind. He's got 8 submissions, 4 knockouts, and that classic Brazilian vibe where everything is chill. Until it's not, and you're in a heel hook wondering where your knee used to be. Thiago's striking, functional. He's not going to outbox the boxers, but against grapplers, he's out there looking like Anderson Silva in a mirror maze. He throws hard, he's accurate, and he can crack just enough to make you think, wait, do I need to panic shoot right now? And that's when he wraps you up like a Christmas present and sends your neck to another dimension. He grapples aggressively too. This isn't your buddy at open mat working on technique. This is a man trying to pay bills via armbar. Every fight, he's shooting, clinching, dragging you down, and once it hits the mat, his top control is Velcro with bad intentions. You're not just defending submissions, you're surviving. He's also tough, durable, and while he's taken a few L's, he's only been submitted once in 27 fights, which is basically wizard level for a guy who lives in the grappling dungeon. So, who wins? This is a close fight, and I'm not saying that to hedge, it's legit razor thin. Both guys are BJJ black belts, both have decent hands, and neither is afraid to scrap. But the difference might be who wins the grappling exchanges. Gordon might be the slightly better boxer, but he also fights like he's allergic to his own defense sometimes. Meanwhile, Moises might not be a knockout artist, but if he can land clean or even slightly buzz Jared, it opens up his takedown entries. And if this hits the ground, I trust Thiago to keep Jared stuck to the mat like a toddler on a jelly spill. Jared's been through some wars and he's scrappy as hell, but I've seen too many fights where he's just getting control time to death. Thiago doesn't just control, he controls and threatens. Official pick: Thiago Moises by decision, or maybe late sub if Jared gets cute and tries to scramble. I think Thiago gets a few takedowns, racks up control time, and sprinkles in some "oh no, he's got my neck" moments along the way. Next up, we've got a welterweight matchup between two guys who are absolutely not in the mood to be boring. Matthias Jaguar Camilo versus Gabe Gifted Green. It's the battle of the debuting destroyer versus the seasoned scrapper with a questionable chin. If this one makes it to the scorecards, I will personally send both fighters a Starbucks gift card for showing restraint. Let's dive in. First up, Matthias Jaguar Camilo, coming in as a minus 175 favorite with a 9-2 record. This man fights like he just drank a gallon of Monster Energy and heard someone insult his mom. He's aggressive, throws with mean intentions, and has that classic Brazilian buzzsaw energy that makes every debut feel like a middle school fight behind the gym. Chaotic, emotional, and somehow still technical. Camilo's striking is wild, but dangerous. He's got good power, and when he throws, it looks like he's trying to punch through your ancestors. Sure, the shots are a little loopy, but they land with that Star Wars kind of force. He's well-rounded, too. This ain't just a brawler who skipped wrestling practice. He'll mix in takedowns. He can submit you from top or off his back. And he does it all while looking like someone just told him, "You're not allowed to have fun." The dude is mean in there. And this is his UFC debut, which means we're either getting a superstar performance or that weird fight where both guys look like they're fighting underwater. Now enter Gabe Gifted Green, the underdog at plus 150 with a record of 11-5. And let's be honest, the only thing he's been gifted lately is CTE. This man has been knocked out 3 times, and he's coming off back-to-back losses to Ian Gary and Brian Battle, aka the new-gen tall guy Avengers. But Gabe ain't bad, not by a long shot. He's a purple belt in BJJ, and the man has 6 submissions, 5 of which are rear naked chokes. If he gets your back, it's not a gift, it's a refund. He's got good speed, solid boxing, and the type of cardio that makes you regret not running that extra mile at the gym. The issue? He just doesn't wrestle enough. It's like knowing how to play piano, but only doing it when you're drunk at weddings. He can take the fight to the mat, but he often chooses to bang it out on the feet, which, brave? Yes. Smart? No. Not when you've been KO'd more times than your grandma's internet router. He's also got decent power and clean hands, but again, that chin is a concern. Every time he steps into the octagon, you can almost hear his brain whispering, "Bro, can we not?" So, who wins? Camilo is making his debut, and Gabe's been around the block, which usually gives the vet an edge. But in this case, Camilo fights like someone who's here for a highlight reel, not a 3-round chess match. He's aggressive, powerful, and willing to take risks. And that's exactly the kind of opponent Gabe Green tends to struggle with. Gabe could win this if he used his grappling, got the fight to the ground, and played a smart, tactical game. But based on past behavior, he's more likely to just bite down on the mouthpiece and try to out-tough a Brazilian brawler. And that's like trying to win a drinking contest with a Viking. It's not ending well for you. Official pick: Matthias Camilo by first-round KO. I think he finds Gabe's chin early, and that chin has been doing overtime without hazard pay. Unless Gabe changes up the script and shoots early, I think we're looking at a violent debut for the Jaguar. All right, fight fans, let's crack open a can of chaos and dive into a matchup between two guys who just fought like a week and a half ago and said, yeah, let's do that again. We've got Julian Juicy J Erosa versus Melquizael Melk Coffee Costa in what might be the most adrenaline-fueled, cardio-questionable matchup of the card. One of them has 14 submissions, the other sounds like a Game of Thrones character. Buckle up. First up, Julian Juicy J Erosa, coming in as a plus 185 underdog with a record of 31-11, which sounds like the record of someone who's fought professionally in every Chili's parking lot from here to Tijuana. The man is a certified octagon junkie. Just a month ago, he folded Darren Elkins like a beach chair, and now he's back to collect another scalp. Julian is that rare breed of fighter who doesn't just have tools, he's got an entire shed. 12 knockouts, 14 submissions, and somehow still underrated. He's long, rangy, and crafty as hell. Watching him fight is like watching a guy play chess while holding a chainsaw. He's got the strategy, but also he might decapitate you by accident. The downside, his chin is built out of expired tortilla chips. The man's been knocked out 7 times, which is more than most fighters even get fights. That kind of stat makes you want to wrap his head in bubble wrap before every walkout, but recently, he's tightened things up. He's on a 3-fight win streak, and when he's not getting violently unplugged, he looks slick. Takedown defense is solid, and when he initiates the ground game, it's actually pretty effective. The problem is, every now and then, Juicy J forgets he's a technician and decides to have a Waffle House parking lot brawl. That's when things go south. Next up is Melquizael Melk Coffee Costa, and yes, that is both a name and a Wi-Fi password. He's a minus 220 favorite with a record of 23-7, and he's also fresh off a win just over a month ago. Both of these guys are treating UFC fight camps like CrossFit, just back-to-back with no breaks, baby. Costa is another well-rounded guy. He's got 7 knockouts, 8 submissions, and he kicks like he's mad at the floor. His leg kicks at range are nasty, and if you stand still long enough, you might forget how walking works. That said, in his last fight, his hands looked like they were powered by Bluetooth. No connection. He just wasn't landing anything clean. He had the speed, he had the footwork, but the power seemed to have clocked out early. He does have solid volume, and he's a great scrambler on the mat. If you take him down, be ready for a game of Twister that ends with someone losing a knee. But he does slow down. Not needs an oxygen mask slow, but enough that by round 3, Christian Rodriguez was picking up steam and landing more often. Costa's grappling defense is good, but if he gets taken down by someone with killer instincts, things can get sketchy. That's where Erosa becomes dangerous. So, who wins? Let's be real. This fight screams fight of the night, and someone's getting concussed. If Costa had more pop in his punches, I'd be worried for Erosa's chin, but the dude fights like he's shadowboxing with a sleep disorder. He's quick, but the power in his hands just isn't there lately. Erosa, on the other hand, is a wild card. If he doesn't randomly walk into a head kick while trying to throw a spinning elbow from Narnia, he can absolutely hunt the finish here. Whether it's club and sub, slick grappling, or just dirtying up the striking in the clinch, he has more paths to victory. And if this turns into a gritty, sloppy, back-and-forth war, which, let's face it, it absolutely will. Juicy J lives for that. He's been in more wars than a Call of Duty lobby. Official pick. Julian Erosa by submission, round 2. Costa's gonna slow down, Juicy J's gonna turn up, and we're probably going to see a wild scramble end with Costa tapping like he's logging out of Facebook. If Julian survives the early kicks and stays sharp, I think he gets this done. And with style. And now it's time for that part of the card, where 2 featherweights are trying to figure out if they're top 15 material or just elite regional champs who snuck into the UFC Performance Institute and never left. It's Sodik Super Yusuf taking on Myron the Legend Santos, which, I gotta say, calling yourself the Legend when you have one sketchy split decision in the UFC is like putting CEO in your Instagram bio when you sell knockoff sunglasses. But hey, manifest it, I guess. Sodik Super Yusuf, coming in as a plus 120 underdog with a record of 13-4. Sodik is that guy who looks like he was built in a Marvel lab, solid striking, mean hooks, and the kind of power that makes you want to keep your hands up and your insurance premiums paid. He's got 6 knockouts, clean technique, and when he lets his hands go, it's terrifying. Problem is, sometimes he lets his hands go like they're attached to a broken slot machine. You're waiting, still waiting, and then you get jabbed once, and he resets. He's had a rough run lately, losing to Edson Barboza and getting finished by Diego Lopez, which doesn't look great on paper, unless you rebrand it as learning opportunities. But make no mistake, when he's fighting guys outside the top 10, Sodiq tends to look like a future contender. He has solid takedown defense, keeps his striking technical, and isn't easy to put away, unless you're, Lopez. He fights smart, sometimes too smart, like he's playing chess while his opponent's just chucking bricks. He'll have the experience edge here, but he needs to stop meditating mid-fight and start throwing. Myron, the legend Santos, coming in as a minus 140 favorite with a record of 15-1. So this man is a legend. Of what exactly? High school gym class, Brazilian regional circuits? Because yes, technically he's 15-1, but his last fight against Francis Marshall was one of those, yeah, the judges need glasses situations. He won a split decision that didn't look very legendary and should have been sponsored by robbery-themed escape rooms. But the kid's got skills. He's well-rounded. Decent grappling, decent striking, nothing mind-blowing, but all serviceable. He throws with decent volume, he moves well, and he can mix in takedowns when he remembers they exist. He's kind of like a dollar store version of Arman Tsarukyan. You can tell what they're going for, but the packaging's a little off. He's got 8 knockouts so he can finish the fight. Or he can grind you out. He's scrappy. He wins rounds, and he's young enough that you get the sense his ceiling is still climbing. He's got a Muay Thai background and a purple belt in BJJ, and he looks physically strong for the division. But again, he barely got by Francis Marshall. And there is no shame I think Francis is good, but I would have liked to see more from Santos in that fight. So, who wins? If Sodiq shows up as the guy who blitzed Alex Caceres or Andre Fili, he might style on Santos. His experience, power, and tighter technique give him the edge in clean exchanges. But if he goes full stare and wait mode, Myron can just rack up volume, maybe hit a takedown or two, and bank rounds on the scorecards. Sodiq's takedown defense should keep him upright, but the question is, will he do enough? Myron probably won't finish Sodiq unless he completely collapses from inactivity, and Sodiq hasn't really been outgrappled badly outside of Lopez. Official pick. I'm going with Sodiq Yusuff by decision. I think he's going to land the more damaging shots, spook Marin with the power early, and force a slower-paced fight that favors him. He's fighting for his spot in the UFC pecking order, and I think he knows that. Look for him to stuff takedowns, keep it standing, and remind Marin that legends are usually made, not declared on your first trip to Vegas. All right, folks, crack open a bag of frozen peas, because we're going to be icing something after this one. Next up, we've got a middleweight clash between a guy who's got a martial arts belt in every color of the Power Rangers, Dustin Stoltzfus, and a guy who sounds like he was forged in the shadow of a volcano, Nursultan Black Ruziboev. This one's got sleeper potential, and I don't mean boring. I mean someone might literally get put to sleep. First up, Dustin Stoltzfus, coming in as a plus 230 underdog with a record of 16-6. Dustin's resume reads like a martial arts buffet. He's got a purple belt in BJJ, a black belt in Luta Livre, and a red belt in Tang Sudo, which I'm pretty sure is just what happens when you spill Gatorade on your karate belt. He's basically got every belt except the one for holding his pants up in grappling exchanges. Dustin has 3 knockouts and 6 submissions, which sounds cool until you realize his takedown offense and defense are both sitting at May levels. Like, if his wrestling were a Netflix rating, it would say, you might sort of enjoy this if you've got literally nothing else to do. His striking, also, fine. He throws decent punches, he's got some pop. But his combinations are more guy shadowboxing in the gym at 24-hour fitness than fight-ending technician. And look, he's gone 3-5 in the UFC, and the man's been finished 4 times. 2 by submission, 2 by KO. But to his credit, Dustin always shows up looking like a dude who just got done playing D&D, but will absolutely throw hands if you disrespect his character sheet. You never have to question his effort. It's just, sometimes effort isn't enough when the guy across from you has 13 knockouts, 20 submissions, and the reach of a tree branch in a hurricane. Next up, Nursultan Black Ruziboev, the man who sounds like he was trained by Genghis Khan and summoned into the UFC with dark magic. He comes in as a minus 270 favorite with a record of 35-9, which is more fights than Stoltzfus has had walks to the octagon. Standing at 6'5", Nursultan is basically a skyscraper for the middleweight division. This guy is crazy well-rounded. He's got 13 knockouts, 20 submissions, and the kind of ground game where you get taken down and you don't know if he will choke you out or break a limb. He's dangerous off his back too. Not gonna stall and wait for the ref to stand them up dangerous, but like, will snag a Kimura while smiling at your corner dangerous. His striking is sharp. He uses his range really well. and he's got solid counters. If he hits you while you're coming in, there's a good chance your coach is gonna need to wake you up with smelling salts and regret. But it's not all perfect. We've only seen him really tested in the takedown department once, and that was against Joaquin Buckley, who secured 4 out of 4 takedowns. That's the red flag in the resume. If you've got solid wrestling and pressure, there's a path. If you don't, then you're just feeding the beast. So, who wins? Listen, I like Dustin. He's gritty, he's scrappy, he's probably the kind of guy who insists on washing his black belt after every class. But this feels like he's stepping into the Thunderdome with someone who's just got more weapons, more confidence, and more ways to end the night early. On the feet, Nursultan has the edge in size, power, and technique. If Dustin tries to wrestle, which he might once Nursultan starts marking up his face like a high school math test, then he's diving into a very sketchy submission game. Both guys can threaten on the mat, sure, but one of them is a purple belt, and the other one has 20 subs and the body triangle from Mordor. Official pick, Nursultan Ruziboev by second round submission. I think he clips Dustin on the feet, follows him down, and wraps up something ugly. Maybe an armbar, maybe a Kimura, maybe a choke. Doesn't matter. He's getting a finish. And Stoltzfus is going to need a new belt, one with a medical alert button on it. Welcome to How to Get Submitted by a Guy You Just Punched in the Face, featuring Paul Craig. That's right, the grappling madman from Scotland is back, and this time he's matched up with a dude who looks like he was grown in a lab somewhere in Brazil, that crossbred Thiago Santos with an extra-large honey badger. We got Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. Buckle up. Paul Bear Jew Craig coming in as a plus 375 dog with a record of 17-9. And listen, you already know what this is. Paul Craig isn't going to come out here and surprise us with slick footwork and a piston jab. No, Paul Craig has the stand-up of a created fighter you forgot to level up. His striking is so rough it makes heavy bag work look competitive. Bo Nickel outstruck him. Bo Nickel, a man who just started striking 5 minutes ago, but none of that matters to Paul Craig because Paul Craig does not care. This man's entire game plan is step 1, get punched, step 2, pull guard, step 3, triangle the soul out of you. And somehow, it has worked. He submitted Jamahal Hill. He made Magomed Ankalaev tap with literal seconds left on the clock. Paul Craig fights like your drunk uncle doing jiu-jitsu at a family barbecue. No plan, just vibes and triangles. He's got 13 submissions and all the chill of a honey badger on espresso. But here comes the downside. He's been knocked out 5 times. His defense is a suggestion, his chin is a mayfly on borrowed time, and if he doesn't pull off the Hail Mary, it gets dark fast. He's also lost 3 in a row, and no shame in losing to top guys, but you gotta wonder if the magic is fading or if he just keeps trying to play Uno in a room full of poker players. Rodolfo Trader Bellato coming in as a minus 500 favorite with a record of 12-2. Now this dude, built like a truck with C4 for fists, 7 knockouts, 4 subs. He's like your neighborhood bouncer, except he knows arm bars and has decent cardio. Rodolfo brings violence. He doesn't strike with surgical technique. This ain't Adesanya. But he makes up for it with brute force and just enough chaos to keep you guessing. His UFC takedown defense has looked solid so far, and he's riding a 4-fight win streak. He fights like he's trying to erase all his opponents with elbows, fists, and knees. Yeah, he's been knocked out twice, but one was against Vitor Petrino, who hits like a wrecking ball dipped in nitroglycerin, and Rodolfo still stood up asking what day it was, so the chin seems serviceable. Best of all, he's not going to dive into Craig's guard like some kind of mid-fight dare. He knows what Paul wants, and I don't see him being dumb enough to let it happen. If it goes to the ground, it's going to be his terms. Top position, ground and pound, and violence. So who wins? Let's not overthink this. If Paul Craig gets this to the ground and lures Rodolfo into the Death Triangle Chamber of Doom, then yeah, chaos could reign. But that's a very narrow path. Rodolfo is stronger, faster, more powerful, and isn't going to do the one thing that keeps Craig relevant. Follow him to the ground like he dropped a $20 bill. This is the fight equivalent of trying to rob a bear while you're holding a salmon. Don't go to the mat with Paul Craig if you don't have to. Official pick, Rodolfo Bellato by KO. I think Rodolfo drops Paul like a bad stock and follows up with just enough ground and pound to make the ref earn his paycheck. I wouldn't even be shocked if Bellato submits Craig. I really wouldn't. Craig's chin is shot, his entries are predictable, and Bellato's just not the kind of guy who's gonna fall into the trap. Bearjew's got one path, and I think Bellato's got the flashlight, the map, and the exit. Welcome to the Am I Too Old for This Shit Bowl, starring Gilbert Burns and Michael Morales. It's a tale as old as time. Aging legend with a jiu-jitsu black belt and a heart of gold versus young undefeated tank built like a superhero. We got Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales. Let's dive in. First up, Gilbert Durinho Burns, stepping in as a plus 575 underdog with a record of 22-8. Man, this guy has fought everybody. Gilbert's fought so many killers he probably has Dana White's number under hazard pay. Former lightweight turned welterweight monster, Burns brings a 3 RD degree BJJ black belt to every fight like it's a cheat code. He's got 9 submissions, and I don't mean sneaky RNCs from back control. We're talking full jiu-jitsu clinic, tournament bracket rolled into one guy type stuff. But that chin is starting to make deals with the other team. Burns has been knocked out 3 times and rocked in fights like he's on a roller coaster with no seatbelt. He's currently on a 3-fight losing streak, and while it's been against elite dudes, those miles on the engine are adding up. You can hear the brakes squealing every time he backs up now. Still, he's got hands, powerful hooks, big overhands. He swings like he's trying to knock the meat off the bone. But when he's forced to strike for long stretches, the speed difference can get exposed. If this turns into a striking affair, Durinho might be praying for a double leg that leads to a miracle. And speaking of grappling, it's still high-level stuff. If he can drag Morales into a ground fight, things get fun, but it's a big if. Next up, Michael Morales rolling in as a minus 850 favorite with a pristine 17-0 record, 17-0. The kind of record that sounds less like a fighter and more like a DC villain origin story. This guy is huge for the division. Built like a fridge, moves like a cheetah, hits like a pissed-off rhino. And if you thought he was all hype, you might be right. But the hype's got hands, knees, and judo throws. Morales came in with a wrestling and judo rep, but surprise, the kid's got hands, fast hands, accurate hands. We're talking PlayStation combo speed with PS5 power. He's knocked guys down, pieced dudes up, and when he does get on top, he drops ground and pound like he's trying to dig to the center of the earth. His takedown defense, solid. His chin, looks good so far. His cardio, also solid. Honestly, his biggest weakness is that we haven't seen him in the fire with a legend like Burns yet. But even then, it looks like he's been forged in a lab by someone who plays a lot of UFC 5 and maxes out every stat. The guy hasn't had to lean on his offensive wrestling yet, but you just know it's waiting there like an unskippable cutscene. He has some good body lock takedowns, and the power, the defense, the range, it's all there. So who wins? If this fight was booked in 2020, I'd be sweating over Morales. But this is 2025 Gilbert Burns, who's still dangerous, don't get me wrong. But starting to look like that old lion the zookeeper makes retire to a wildlife preserve, where the only predator is arthritis. Burns can make this fight tricky if he gets close, gets a trip, and makes Morales play jiu-jitsu chess with Bobby Fischer in a GI. But Morales is bigger, stronger, faster, and has that undefeated glow like a guy who just beat every boss in Elden Ring without dying. Burns probably gets stuck at range eating jabs and body kicks, then either gets dropped or grinded out. And if he shoots desperate takedowns, Morales might send him a return to sender stamp with a forehead elbow. Official pick, Michael Morales by KO. I think Morales keeps it standing, punishes Burns for every failed takedown, and eventually cracks that fading chin. Could be early, could be late, but I think the young buck sends the legend to the shadow realm. Gilbert's a dog, but Morales has the bone, the leash, and the backyard. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a beat when the next video drops. And don't be shy. Leave a comment below and let me know who you got winning this fight. Let's see who really has the crystal ball around here. Until next time.